A few years back, it seemed to many we had reached the plenitude in terms of software applications with the concept of ERP, which supposedly admitted to cover the majority of administrative and management areas. However, studies on the occupation of times in this field continued to show that both the staff of administrative and management areas spent most of their time without any support from ERPs. On the other hand, the demand for quality and excellence to support competitiveness started bringing to the forefront the issue around effective and efficient communication, transmission and encapsulation of know-how, innovation, the quality management system itself, as well as other issues that had nothing to do with ERPs. In short, many of the potential gains from the software that can be achieved by organizations nowadays no longer go through traditional ERPs. One of the areas it goes through is what we call communication and general support, which includes this module, Notes, Subjects and Tasks, which is one of our latest tools, though inspired by the module Notifications that existed previously. Although recent, this module is the basis of our controlled internal communication system, as required by our quality management system since 2008. It is a tool that relies on a communication paradigm very different from the dominant paradigm, which is that of mails and emails. This tool also has similar elements to those of social networking software, such as granting other participants access to one's notes and chains that one participates. But differs greatly in terms of the security formalism in the access and acknowledgment of notes and other aspects. In our case, we have implemented the principles of controlled communication required by the ISO 9000-2008 quality norms, in which, firstly, each recipient must formally acknowledge a note, with date and time, and then it is still up to the author of the note to confirm the recipients have acknowledged receiving the note. We shall devote some more time explaining this new paradigm by comparing notes with emails, as our clients have found more difficulties in such a differentiation. The notes are in this part, and the emails in this other part. Notes are among the participants of a given system, in which the participants are logins of that system. These participants write notes in the same database and can grant other participants access to such notes. Now emails are messages sent from senders to recipients, which spread across the Internet. These emails are deposited in mailboxes accessed only by their owners, who cannot see what goes on in the boxes of other owners. This follows from what is summarized in this slide. Emails spread without beginning or end. Each person sees only part of the history. No one has a complete overview. No one knows at which status point a talk is at a given time. The information correlated is not auditable from a point from an editor, and lacks tracking requirements essential to the QMS. Now, regarding notes, they are placed in a database by their authors, participants in the system. Nodes are either associated to existing node chains or are isolated, ready to start a new chain. The participants of nodes and chains can grant access to other participants, who can then see the nodes and chains which they were granted access to, and are able to add their own nodes. Whoever has unrestricted access to a node chain can see all its history and always knows the status point a talk is at. The information is auditable from a point and meets the tracking requirements of the QMS. Hence, the great advantage of notes over emails when it comes to supporting controlled communication within closed networks controlled by an organization or a group of organizations. We can clearly see that in the examples presented below. The first note issued on our company network was on 2008-412. It urged the use of the new tool made available to the group. In the text, there is a phrase that sums up the use of this module. This tool should be seen as an interactive and shareable logbook. Let's see how this logbook has been used since then. An illustrative example is a note chain that evolved over 2 years in order to get a problem solved in our customer base. It was about definitely eliminating the use of modems that still persisted as a means of communication to provide our support services. It was a very significant number that still persisted the change to the web-based support. Let's see the first note of 2008-0509 on the subject. With this note, a set of actions was triggered which, over 2 years, had eliminated all modems. Let's consider the most recent note on that subject to the last customer. As shown in this note, it is associated with a chain of 30 notes. It is the 30 notes issued on this subject over 2 years. We can immediately access those notes. This is one of the advantages of the note system. Please note it is different from the chains which Google emails feature, for instance. The chains of Google emails, by the way they are set, may even confuse us sometimes. In our note system, the author of the notes is who determines whether or not to associate it to a chain and which. One can associate or disassociate a note at any time and even change it to another chain. Let's then consider the chain containing 29 notes associated. We click to access the chain of 30 notes. As we can see, it starts at the aforementioned initial note. The situation evolves, which we can notice by the notes of the various performers until we reach the most recent note. We think this example illustrates well the potential of nodes and node chains. However, smaller chains are usually at play. From different types of requests, orders, requests to carry out expenditures, to send proposals to clients, to make decisions on any pending matter, to the notification of new rules and decisions, new quality management system manual versions and standards. All this is done in our companies in a fully dematerialized way and without resort to paper. Notes, subjects and tasks, Office and Document Management, and Help Desk Web Support are 3 key modules of the area we call Communication and General Support. One might ask, in a real case, which of the modules to use. These 3 modules are closely linked, and some situations can be handled by any of them. It is possible to make associations among them through simple clicks. We can associate an Office item to a note chain, an Office item to a Help Desk ticket, a note to a Help Desk ticket, and so on. This is due to the fact that a record may enter any of the 3 modules, but after its examination, one can determine the record to continue its treatment in another module. Hence, we have facilities available for this transition to be easy. However, there are substantial differences among the modules that may help us choose which one to implement according to the purpose in view. Firstly, the module Help Desk Web Support stands out because it's based on a highly structured star-shaped communication network. That is, everyone communicates with a center, Anonymous, which answers back. Its origin, the traditional help desk, also helps us to easily see when it should be used. The module Office and Document Management works primarily similar to mails, incoming and outgoing items of the organization, internal circulation of Office items to which administrative acts may be associated. It's also a very well-structured communication network, and the concepts of organization units and third parties are often used. Communication is often impersonal and carried out among such abstract entities. Among third parties and organization units as inputs, internally among organization units, and among organization units and third parties as outputs. With regard to the module notes, it's fundamentally communication among participants, usually people identified by their logins and who allow other participants to access the notes they are authors of, or whose access has been granted to them. One can form groups of participants and grant groups access to certain notes and note chains, but a note has always the authorship of a participant login. It is therefore a more personalized means of communication, more informal and usually more dematerialized, paperless. One can easily establish one or more groups of participants to exchange notes with one another, regardless of the organization or existing third parties. This makes communication through notes very agile, without losing any formal, compatible control over the requirements of the ISO 9000-2008 quality norms. This is the reason why we favor the use of notes in our internal communication system. With these elements, we think we have established the criteria that can help you tell when to use each of these three modules, which we consider essential in the area of communication and general support. The module Office and Document Management is used to ensure, firstly, support to traditional communication via mail, fax, and even emails. Secondly, support to administrative acts. And complementarily, given the ease of association among Office items and events and scanned documents, ensures inputs, access, and outputs from the databases of scanned documents. The module Help Desk and Web Support is used to ensure general support per focal point of the organization to requests from external and internal customers, whether customers in the traditional sense or the public in general, with the possibility of the party who places the requests having no login. Now, the module Notes, Subjects and Tasks is used to ensure agile and informal communication, though recorded and controlled, among defined groups of participants' logins. We have had the opportunity to address the notes in terms of concepts and potential use, but it is also important to have a more practical view of their use, issuance and handling by the users of the module. We'll see that as follows. When choosing the option Notes per Date, I directly view the notes which I have access to and which I have not closed yet. We see on top the most recent note, which is dated 2010-06-18, the subject, the author, date, and time. Then follows the text of the note. On the right is something very important. In red, the record along with the dates and times at which each participant acknowledged and closed the note. Here is the login, MB-CSS, that closed the note on 2010-12-17 at 10:56. This is one of the elements that enables the audit required by quality norms. Here is the list of the participants of the note, and the commands on top. Acknowledge without closing it. If I run this command, the background turns yellow, and down here in green is recorded that I have already read the note. All participants of this note get to know this because they also see this record in green. Now, if I run the command close, the background turns white and it is displayed down here that I have closed the note. Once again, all participants get to know it. Here are the commands jump to participants and participants who closed it. They are used to identify the logins below. For reasons of space, the audit records only show the logins. In general, we are used to them and we know who they refer to. But by running these commands, the system shows the data of the participants and of those who have closed the note. For instance, by clicking on participants, a list with their data is displayed. Well, now I may want to insert a note. I click on the plus sign on the left to make an insertion. I enter the insertion panel and on the top left in green appears a message starting new note chain. A new chain is started by default to prevent the new note from being mistakenly added to the existing chain. This is so because if we add the new note to the existing chain, all the participants of the new note, if not indicated otherwise, shall have access to the whole note chain. This could grant them access to information we do not want to disclose. If we are to add the note to the existing chain, we click in here, Same Chain. And a message appears up here, adding a note to the same chain. Still referring to security access and sharing of notes, we have one additional remark to make on the field regarding accesses. By default, the letter C is assigned, which means this note will be accessible to all who participate in the chain. But we can state that it will be only accessible to people who participate in this note, to all participants, or even subject to more specific criteria. Then we fill in the fields as in any ordinary mail. It is also possible to attach objects. For instance, there is an object attached to this note. Just click on it to see the object. What we have presented is enough to send and handle notes well. We also point out that given some specific needs to produce outputs on notes, for example, administrative acts that, by any reason, may have to be printed and signed, it is possible to print notes according to the most appropriate paper layouts. This is an important facility to meet some legal formalities.
Si las notas pueden ser vistas como elementos autónomos, aunque posiblemente asociadas en cadenas, compartidos por los participantes, los asuntos y tareas pueden ser vistos como agendas con capítulos compartibles en los que se tratan ciertos asuntos y tareas, salvo que se trata de una agenda electrónica con facilidades especiales. En particular, existe la posibilidad de añadir enlaces en las páginas de la agenda, incluso el acceso a las tablas de los módulos Altoga. Así, por ejemplo, si se desea, se pueden añadir todos los enlaces con las explicaciones necesarias para acceder a las tablas necesarias, para realizar el ingreso de un empleado, etc. Así que uno tendría que ir a la agenda, leer las explicaciones y hacer los clics necesarios sin la necesidad de memorizar todo o perder cualquier etapa. Un buen ejemplo es el uso de esta agenda en la producción de este vídeo. El guión de este vídeo fue escrito en esta agenda electrónica, como veremos a eso.
In the menu, when accessing subjects and tasks, we enter the criteria panel. Let's examine the subject 2010-VD%US, which are the scripts of the videos in English. We have scripts in both BR and PT Portuguese as well as in Spanish. Let's click on OK. We see in here the index of the organizer with the several English scripts ever produced. Let's scroll down the page and here is the script of this module. We jump to its items and see the script in full. It consists of 9 chapters. However, some conventions for writing scripts are settled. Each item is a chapter. Subtitles are in red. The tabs have a blue background. The parts not showing the presenter, only the application panels appear, have a dark yellow background. Links to slides, documents, menus and tables of the applications are also highlighted. The presenter only has to click on them. There is also an important technical detail. Since the user has already logged in to access the script, he already is in the database, and thus, with a simple click, can access any of the tables of the Altoga modules which he is authorized to access, and work on as if he had entered the menu of that respective module. This allows tasks to be scheduled, that is, creating links in the electronic organizer for a set of listings and get them when needed, always updated daily. In this case, the link is to a menu, so I just click on it to access that menu. This script is shared online by all who work on videos and can even be used as a teleprompter if necessary. Security-wise, we see at the top the logins that can access this script. These are the logins of all teams that produce videos, starting with the ALD-LX, which is our login. This video, once edited, will be added to the list of related videos. It will suffice then a click as the one we are about to do to watch the video. We think this was a good example to illustrate this electronic organizer. But one must keep in mind that the facilities of this organizer are not only used for scripts. First, there are more types of items, all different in appearance and color. They are macro groups, groups, items, and annotations. We only use items for scripts because they are the basic executable components. Then, there are several phases in which items may be in. For example, there can be defined and planned items, items executed in several phases, closed items. We can also associate nodes to items, and the access to items can be defined differently, item by item. In short, this is a shareable electronic organizer in which we can define subjects and tasks at several levels and follow up these subjects and tasks, participating then whenever allowed, always over the web and anywhere we are at. Regarding the scripts, all teams that produce videos in their countries share the common base in Lisbon, Portugal, make their contribution and are online, in real time with what is being done. We believe this is a simple and effective tool, and that's why we use it in our projects and tasks in general, as is the case of the production of these videos. We have presented in this video the module Notes, Subjects and Tasks, along with the necessary details for a first assessment by your organization. It should be emphasized that this module is easy to implement and can be used immediately, which may also be translated into immediate gains for organizations, with no losses in subsequent upgrades for a better exploitation of the potential of the module. In this context, we remind you that the dialogue can be deepened so we can better analyze your needs and our answers to them. We and the network of partners we integrate are fully prepared to listen to and support you.